Good afternoon. Welcome to the REDCap Workshop brought to you by the Research Capacity Core, which is part of the Interdisciplinary Health Equity Research Center here at Delaware State University. My name is John Balzerini. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Sociology and Criminal Justice. The director of the Research Capacity Core, Daryl Wensian, can't be here today, so I'm going to take care of the introductions and moderate the workshop to give a hand to my colleagues Sharon Goodman and Jason Coles. So for those of you who are still kind of like learning about the Interdisciplinary Health Equity Research Center and the various components of it and support that's available through the IHER Center, we're all part of the Research Capacity Core. And the Research Capacity Core is a part of the IHER Center that's designed to bolster the research capacity here at the university. It's designed literally to be an entire institutional support service, including people and resources to help promote more research across campus, more interdisciplinary research, more research on health equity, inequity, disparity, etc., and also just bolster the research capacity for pretty much everybody on campus. It is a very wide net that we provide in terms of services and resources. So some of the stuff we do here at the IHER RCC is, Sharon and I and Daryl are all research consultants, and we are available to talk through and provide support, conversation, consultation, advice, suggestions, even review and edit work for people in various stages of their research projects. So we invite everybody here to look at our website, and that's where you can sign up for consultation services. And there's no limit to consultation services. You can sign up over and over and again and request our services to help you at various stages of your projects. We can help with brainstorming research projects, project design. We can help with selecting methods. One of the main purviews of this core is to support and promote qualitative research in projects. And many of you, because you're here for REDCap, do quantitative research. But a big part of all of this is to promote mixed methods and qualitative parts to projects as well. So if you've never done qualitative research, you're going to need some help, and that's what we're here for. We can help design questionnaires and focus groups, strategies for recruiting study participants. We can basically instruct and teach coding and qualitative data analysis. We can help with qualitative writing. We can help with grant acquisition and survey design. The core also has access, and it's growing access, to resources like REDCap and the All of Us database, which is a database that provides, I think now, like over 1 million respondents about their health needs and health struggles and things of that nature. So there's a lot that the core does, and it's really, really important that people take advantage of the resources that we have here. So that's just a quick introduction to what the Research Capacity Core will be doing here at Delaware State University for the foreseeable future. And to kick it all off, here is a REDCap workshop that the core has just brought. So REDCap was not here at Delaware State University. The Research Capacity Core brought it here to be something that all researchers on campus can access and use to, promote their research and improve their research. So this is where I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues Sharon Goodman and Jason Coles. Sharon Goodman is also a research consultant at the Research Capacity Core, and Jason Coles is our IT support manager, and he's the administrator of REDCap. So I'm going to let them have it now.
Thank you very much for the introduction, John. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today for this introduction to REDCap workshop. And we understand that especially this is the final week of the semester, and especially this is lunchtime. So I'm Sharon Goodman from the Department of Sociology and Criminal Justice, and my colleague, Mr. Jason Coles, also here. So we're going to co-present this workshop. So Mr. Coles has been working very hard to have REDCap up and running on our campus. Okay, so today we will go through what is REDCap, how to create your projects on REDCap. Once you have your project created, how to maintain and manage your database. And Mr. Cole is going to talk about how to get your access to your REDCap account and how to get your technical support. Okay. So REDCap is a HIPAA-compliant data collection and storage application, and it is used for medical research, experimental research, social science research, among others. So REDCap is short for Research Electronic Data Capture. So it is a secure web application for building and managing online surveys and databases. It was developed and designed by the Vanderbilt University in 2004. So today we have thousands of institutions and organizations around the world are in this REDCap consortium partners. And we have over millions of individual researchers use REDCap for their research and projects. So DSU joined the REDCap consortium partners this year. So with the funding from NIH, the Interdisciplinary Health Equity Research Center acquired license for REDCap. So every researcher at DSU or affiliated with DSU, now we can use REDCap for our project for free. So what does REDCap do? So as I mentioned that REDCap is this web application that you can conduct surveys, you can maintain your database. So basically, if you use number in your research, you will find REDCap very helpful. So a major part of REDCap is to conduct surveys. If you do survey research, you can collect your data from REDCap. And if you don't do survey, if you just like a lab researcher do experiment, but if you need to document those data points, you will find REDCap very helpful also. So REDCap allows for quick development of a database. It allows for web-based data entry, and you don't need to download any kind of software or applications on your device. If you have a smartphone, you can start working on your project on your phone. So researchers are in charge of the database development and the management, the whole process, and really like a shining part of REDCap, like what it stands out from other kind of survey software is the longitudinal design of REDCap. So we're not going to cover longitudinal design on this workshop, but in the future, we're going to also have a workshop on longitudinal design because it's really useful and helpful for researchers. And REDCap has a multi-language function. So if you conduct a survey, your participants use another language, and you can use REDCap. And REDCap can also generate reports online. So you don't need to download the data. You don't need to kind of analyze the data. But if you do some kind of a simple analyzation, and REDCap can generate that report for you. So there are some advantages using REDCap, and it's very easy to use. As I said, if you have a smartphone, if it's connected to internet, you have data, then you can start working on your device. You can use iPad, you can use a computer. You don't need to download any software. And also the database doesn't really occupy your computer space. REDCap has this data security options. So for each individual researcher, you have your individual login credentials. You don't need to have kind of create a credential and then you share with your colleagues. And then you have your individual login credential and you have this user access controls. I found this especially useful if when I have student workers, when I have students working with me, I don't want to have the student, for example, download the database, for example, edit any forms. So I can choose what kind of rights, user rights I grant to the students. And because REDCap is HIPAA compliant, so you have this option to export or download the identified data set that you can share with your colleague or others. And REDCap is great for collaboration and multi-site study. As I mentioned that it is secured, each individual has your own login information, but you can collaborate with others if you give them access to your project. Later, I'm going to show you that once you have REDCap access, you will see that you have different projects that you created, but your partners, your colleagues, they will not see all the projects you're working on, but only the ones you're collaborating together. So to summarize REDCap is very user-friendly, secured, organized, very powerful, time-efficient to collect data, and compliance with different data analysis software. If you use R, if you use SAS, if you use Data, you can download your data set into different format. So that will save you a lot of time to kind of transform the data set from one format to the one that you use. And REDCap is so easy to use. It is very powerful, it's very efficient, but it doesn't require any programming, networking, database experience. So basically, after today's workshop, and I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to use REDCap and create your projects on REDCap. So REDCap have different phases when you create a project on REDCap. And it has the development phase, production phase, analysis cleanup phase, and complete phase. So here I'm going to talk about the development phase, how you create, design, and edit your forms or surveys. So this is the link that we use to have access to our DSU REDCap. It's redcap.dsu.edu. So I will stop sharing my slides here and I will start sharing this web page I have. Okay, can you all see it? Okay, so this is the link, bring you to this page. So this is the login page. You have the username here, the password here. So the username basically is what you use for your Blackboard and the same as the password. And that's for every kind of DSU employee, but you don't automatically have access to REDCap. So don't come to us like, oh, why it's not working? Because you need to request your access account that Jason later gonna talk about. But your account will be the same username, password as the Blackboard that you're using. So we're using our DSU test account. So we log in. So once you log in, so it brings you to this collection of projects you have here. So they display all the projects you have. I have unorganized projects here. You will see some folders with different colors. I find it very useful, especially if later, like after a while, you start using REDCap, you have multiple kind of projects. You have a list of surveys projects, then it will be very hard for you to go back to find it. So I have different folders here just to show you that REDCap is so neat that you can organize your projects here. So my folders here, and I can create a new folder, test 5, and then add a folder. I can customize it. Oh, I'm gonna have this folder with this color, the background with this color. So basically, then you have another folder, test 5 here. Then you can assign different projects to each folder. So I'm gonna do test 5, this new folder I just created, and I'm going to assign this one into the folder. So once you close it, you will see that you have a new folder and you have your new kind of project in this folder. So follow me if you look at the top of this this bar kind of here, the top of it. So this is to add new project, add a new project. And then we also have training videos. So it's very helpful. It's a library of videos. And if you're interested in using REDCap, have some free time, I recommend to go through some videos here. And many of them, they're not even long, pretty short, and then they're very specific. And this is a messenger function that you can click on it and then kind of message your collaborators, others, and send it. This is a secure way to share database with others. So you don't need to download it. So here I'm going to create a project. So I'm gonna just click on add project. So it's gonna ask you some information, project title. I'll just do colors, and I'm sure your title will be much more interesting than this one. So project's purpose, there are different purpose, practice just for fun, operational support, research, quality improvement, or other. So just to note that if you do research, you click on research, there are more information required from you. So who is the PI, the IRB number, please specify what type of research, whether it's kind of basic or clinical research. So here I'm just gonna do practice just for fun. And at this step, I can even assign this project into some folders, but I'll skip this. So project note, I find this very helpful when I have a lot of projects going on. And sometimes I would kind of like just to test a project. It's not the final product, just kind of test some functions. So I can just leave it here. So this is for test. And this is not even gonna show like when you conduct a survey, it's not gonna show there. It's just kind of a note that you can see by yourself. So to create a project, you can create an empty project. You can upload a RED file, like a REDCap file, or you can use a template. So upload a REDCap file. This happens if, for example, sometimes we got funding from the agency, and some agency, they might require the awardees to use some common data element. And then they might share a file with you. So to save some time, you can just upload this file and then to create a REDCap project. So you don't need to input every question, every answer by yourself. So a template is REDCap already has a library of questionnaires, surveys, and you might want to just use basic demographic questions already there on REDCap, or some standardized questionnaire. So you don't need to kind of create by yourself. But here I'm gonna do an empty project. So I create this project here. So this part is basically your workstation. You're gonna create your survey, develop your survey, make your survey into production here. And just to note this ID, your project ID, PID. So every project have a different ID. So this is useful. Let's say when you have a question about your project, you wanna contact your REDCap admin, and then the admin might ask you, what is your PID? So you might just say, I'm working on PID 34, and then I have this issue. Can you help me? Because your admin has all kinds of like a list of projects from the institution. So you want to be more specific. This is my PID. And this is the different kind of function here. So here is the main project settings. You can use survey for this project, but if it's not a survey, if it's just a database, you don't need to enable this. And this is where you design your instruments. And here's more kind of options modules, so like randomization, repeating. So this is more kind of fancier. So we're gonna just go basic at this workshop. And then user rights, test your project thoroughly. So once everything is done, you can move your project to production here. But let's go just here, online designer, to create our very first project on REDCap. So I click on online designer. So REDCap already has a form 1 for you. So you can choose an action to rename form 1. I'll say demographic information. So REDCap calls this an instrument, demographic information, but basically it's like a questionnaire. It's like a survey. You click on this, and REDCap already has a question here. It's your record ID. So this is for every project, REDCap has this record ID. If you conduct your survey, your participant will not see this record ID. It's just for you to use it to link all the instrument. So add field, let's create our very first question on REDCap. So this can be just a descriptive text, just this parts, collect information on your demographic background. And you can use this rich text editor, or you don't need to, but like you can make it bold. And every question on REDCap require a variable name. So even though this question doesn't collect any information, doesn't collect any answers, but it's ask you, let's do the script 1. You can automatically name it through REDCap, but I don't recommend it because it's very long. So I used it before. They make the variable name very long. We want the variable name to be short, to be kind of concise, right? Short. So that way, when you analyze your data later, it's easier kind of for you to analyze it. Let's save it. So we have this description part, and then we add field, and we can have a text box question. What is your date of birth? Just an example, if you do the auto naming, so it is very long. Basically, it's the question. And so we don't want that, right? We just want it to be short, date of birth. And I suggest you to use validation, utilize this function here. So we want it to be date, right? Month, date, year. And the minimum can be January 2000. We don't need a maximum here. So you can make it a required question for your participant to answer it or no. And then here, you can mark whether this question is an identifier. So sometimes date of birth can be identifier, right? Sometimes it's not. Like common identifiers can be name, social security number, address. So here I'm gonna leave it not identifier. And then field note is please answer the real birth date is something. So what it looks like here is, so the note is just kind of remind your participant what it is. And then your date of birth, and then there's a calendar here. So your participant or you, when you input the data, can choose from this. So it's easier. And then add another field. So this can be a text box. What is your age? So variable name, age, validation, we want a number, right? We want minimum to be, let's say 20. So that way, if you have a participant answer 18, so they will be like, oh, you cannot answer the survey, or this is, you cannot continue the survey. So you can make it required or not required. So I'll make this required. So you will see there's kind of must provide value, a little note here. And then our next question, we can do a multiple choice question. We'll choose the radio buttons, pick single answer. What is your sex at birth? And when you input those choices, just to note that one choice per line. So I have male, female, but just to let you know that in REDCap, you need to have a value for each your choice. So this is the value gonna be used as value for your category when you analyze the data. And then other. So let's say sex here, not required. And sometimes like when you do other, and then we have, oh, please specify. And then in other kind of survey software, when I used before, it's just everybody will see this question. And then, oh, if you answer the previous question as other, please specify. But REDCap make it very easy and organized, because for those who didn't pick other, they are not going to see this question. Please specify. Variable name, specify. Okay. So REDCap has this very powerful function called logic branching. Branching logic is only, this question will only show up if sex is equal to 3. That means if someone answered other, so 3 is the value we assigned to other, that answer. So if someone answered other on their sex, that's the variable, this is the variable of that question, then it will show up. So show the field only if sex is equal to 3. Someone answered. So now you see this branching logic here. So in survey, if someone say they're male or female, but not other, so this question will not show up. It will only show up if they pick other. And there's another way to do it. So this is just to type it. And also you can just drag and drop. So I don't, look, I can delete this part. And then I'll click on this. So you'll see sex is equal to other here. You drag this one here and then save. So it has the same kind of same wording here. So this is the logic function that I find very helpful. So our next question can be a drop-down list for multiple choice. Someone might have a question, what's the difference? So the drop-down, I find it useful when you have a lot of choices, a long list of choices. For example, what state are you from? We can have Delaware, we can have PA, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, Virginia, and state. So this looks like a drop-down. So it saves some space and then make your survey looks neat. So it's not a lot of space and then like a long list and then goes to the next question. So instead, and then you can pick from here, drop-down list. And then we can also have a yes/no question, right? Radio button, like, are you a college student? So you don't need to use 1, 2, 3 all the time. This can be 0 for no, 1 for yes. As I said, the value you assign here is the same value that you're going to use to analyze your data. So this is college student. So now we have some questions here. We finished this part, like collecting information to your demographic background, and we return to our list of instrument. So this is one instrument, like we're done. And then we want to create another instrument here. Create a new instrument. I'll just call it colors. I create it. And then I click on it. So you'll see that in this instrument, there is no ID because it only asks you one time. And the ID is used to link all the instruments. So because this is the second instrument that we created, so you don't see ID here. So we can add a field. We can make a multiple choice question, but people can pick multiple answers, a checkbox question. So what are your favorite colors? So they can pick multiple answers, red, blue, green, purple, so brown. And then we can make a field note here. Please select all that apply. Just to remind people that that they can choose multiple answers. So this is what it looks like. So they can pick multiple answers. And the other type of question you can make on REDCap is you can add matrix of fields. So I find it very neat, especially if you have like a standardized questionnaire, something like that. So here it asks you to fill out like the header text. We'll just say, please rate the following colors. And we want to rate red, yellow, blue, green, brown, and then variable name, red, yellow, blue, green, brown. So here you put the same answers to all these rows, all these items. So very good. Good. Neutral. Not so good. And then we have not good at all. And then we have the group name. So just like your variable name. So this is required. We can just say rate color. Okay. So this is what it looks like. It looks very neat. So you don't need to have a question for each item, but instead it's very organized here. And then your participant or you can pick like what it looks like. And you might want to have an open-ended question if you're conducting a survey. So you add a field and then pick a note box. So note box can be longer, can be like a paragraph long, but then text box usually is shorter. So you might want to have a note box for your open-ended questions, like please explain why this is your favorite color. This is like open-ended one and save. So it looks like this. So people can answer questions. So this is, you finished this instrument creating, right? You have this two kind of instruments here and you're like, okay, I'm going to test it. So I suggest you thoroughly test it before kind of make it into production. From here on your left side, you'll see a lot of functions here. And here's the data collection, application, project home and design. And you go to edit records. And then you add new record here. So you can pick, I'm going to do the demographic information. So this is what it looks like. So if you are like a lab researcher, you're gonna see, you're gonna document the result yourself or with your student worker. So you can use this page to document result. So for example, what is your date of birth? And I'm going to go to 2009 like this, and then December 1st. And what is your age? I'll do like a 45. And then you can pick this. And then if this is your testing mode, right? I'm still testing this database. So what if I find some, oh, I don't want this, how this question is framed. So you can go back to modify this instrument. So leave. And then it bring you back to this page. You can modify instrument here. And then you go back to edit record. So this is just for you kind of to test it. And then to test it thoroughly. And then once you complete this page, you can pick here, save and stay, or save, go to next form, save exit form. So there are different functions. You can even download the PDF of instrument if you're going to kind of talk about it, discuss it with your colleague, or share it with others, or just kind of read it by yourself. So I suggest to test it before you make it into production mode. And if you are, let's say, I'm going to do this, treat it as a survey. I'm going to collect the data as a survey. I'm not going to input it myself. So first you go here, main project settings. You enable it as a survey. So once you enable it as a survey, you will see here pop up a survey distribution tools. It wasn't there before, so it only showed up when you treat it as a survey. You need to enable this, but it's not enough. So sometimes people might find, oh, I'm gonna distribute my survey, use this link, but why it's not working? Because in your questionnaire, in your instrument here, you need to also enable them as surveys. So you go back to this online designer page, and then you enable as a survey. It will give you kind of like a setup page. You can set up, you can add it here. What is the survey instruction? Sometimes it's only for specific population or sample that you can say that, oh, if you are under 18, so you are not qualified to answer the survey, things like that. And if you have a logo, if you have an organization, you can upload your logo here. So on the survey, it will appear there. And you can change the size of your survey text, the font of your survey. You can even change your theme. So I just use the default theme, but there are different themes that you can pick. And you can even do text-to-speech functionality. Let's say if the participants in your study and they cannot read, or they let's say they have some kind of situation that they have to hear the questions. So you can enable this text-to-speech functionality. It can be very useful for some type of study, and you can initially on, but can be turned off by participants, or initially off, but can be turned down by participants. So there will be like a little speaker there for each question and answers. that the participant can click on and then listen to the questions. And this is also very useful function here, is sometimes the survey might be too long for your participants, or depending on the study, so the participant might need a break, so they can save it and then return later. Because this is a HIPAA compliant, and it does automatically require a code to return to their unfinished, uncompleted survey. But you can allow respondent to return. But then there's a warning here, just make sure that it follows those HIPAA rules if you're doing research on that. And this is important for our project that we just created, because we have several questionnaires, we have several surveys. So I want to automatically continue to my next survey. Otherwise, you're only asking information on the demographic part, but not the color part. It's not automatically going to the next survey. And you can also have some conditional logic. So I use that for example, if the person answer the question doesn't qualify for the next survey, you can just end the survey there. And then for those participants, if they answer the right answer, then you can continue the survey, ask more questions from them, depending on your study. But here, we'll just auto continue to the next survey. And then we're basically done. So there are other functions that you can review it later on your own time. For example, whether you want like a PDF copy of the survey sent to your email or sent to the participant email. So there are different functions here, like an archive here. So I save the changes. So you will see here, it's checked, the survey is enabled. Also, you will see this arrow down here. That means, oh, it will automatically go to this colors, this next questionnaire. And don't forget to enable this one as a survey. So it's the same thing. And then I'll save it, save changes. And I suggest you, if you do survey, you use survey distribution tool and copy paste and test it a lot as a participant. Test your questions, test your logic branching, and then to see whether the question you want to pop up. So this is the link you will use to collect your data. And you can also use a QR code that you can kind of copy paste onto your study flyer if you're kind of recruiting participants. And I find REDCap is great. And for even lab researchers, you don't do survey, but sometimes you do kind of a consent form. So this is great for a consent form also. So once you tested it, everything looks great, right? And you want to finally kind of, you're done with this, you're done with this, and you want to move your project into production status. So we recommend to move all your project that you're kind of doing the research project into production status, because that can secure your data. If you don't move it to your production status, and you may lose important data. But to note that to move your project into your production status, once it is moved to production status, you will not be able to kind of edit your questions very freely, edit your surveys freely. You have to go to the draft mode and you have to change things there and then get approved by your admin again. So just to note that that's why it's very important to test your questions very thoroughly before moving it into production status. So the next thing I want to talk about is user right. So if you're collaborating with others, if you have student workers working with you, so on this page here, you can pick, so you can add them as collaborators into this project. And you can also find here, user right. So on the left side in the application, user right is here. And also you can find it here. So once you click on user right, for example, now the test user is the only user on this project, but then I can add a new user. I'll add myself. So because I'm already kind of have this account, so I'm in this database. So basically, if your collaborators are already in this institutional, like kind of this group, then you can just type their last name or first name, you'll be able to find them. So I add with the custom right. Let's say I don't want this person to distribute the survey or to edit, organize report, but I want the person to do some stats, to do some data comparison. So I can do this. This is basic. And then here is the viewing, exporting data privilege here. I don't want a person to edit the survey response in this questionnaire, but can be in the callers questionnaire. So I will leave this here. So it's very easy to kind of customize what you want your collaborator to do. And then you can notify the person via email. So I add a user. So you can see that there are something they can do, something they cannot do on this project. And then that's the email I received that I'm added to this project. So this is the project that we just kind of created and move project to production. And you can decide, you can choose whether you want to keep all the data already saved. A lot of time it might be test data because you use this to test a lot, or you want to delete all the data and then request the admin to move to production status. And let's say our admin is Jason, right? And if you have this project and you really have a deadline, and we recommend you to leave us some time that we can thoroughly kind of test your project, review your project, and then you have some time to edit it. But if you really have like a deadline coming up very soon, so you might want to send us an email with your PID that we can kind of work around it. So this is what I have for the examples. And let's go here. Can you see the slides now? The slides, okay. So I have some kind of good practice here. So when you create a question, so when you do variable, create a variable. So the variables should be short and only lowercase letters, numbers, and underscores. And validate the fields when possible. So that will be easier for you to clean the data and to analyze your data. So you don't need to, one thing it can happen is, for example, age, right? That's a common question you ask on your survey. What is your age? But some participant might answer the year they were born. So later, then you have to hand kind of edit or change, calculate that answer in your data. But if you validate the field, then like, oh, you cannot, your age cannot be over 99 years old when you put down 1974, right? Things like that. So can make your project go easier. And utilize a field note that kind of remind your participant what to answer, what not to answer. So we go through development, and now is, I'm gonna show you this part. Generate reports. Okay, so back, we're on this web page. So we have collected data, and I'm basically done with this project. And you can come here, data export, reports, and the stats in this application part. So you click on this. So because we don't have any field, I cannot show you anything because we didn't input any data. But here you can see report. You can even select some instrument, not all instrument. You can kind of do some customization on your report here. And then you can export data for more kind of advanced analysis. Once you click export data, there is different format. You can do SPSS, you can do SAS, RS data, like raw data, and you can remove identifier field if you're sharing with others, right? So you export data from here. So this is what I have, how you create your project and how you make your project into production. And now I'm going to stop sharing this one and go back to the slides. We'll have Mr. Jason Coates talk about how to get your access to your account.
Sharon, before that, could we just do a quick question
Yes.
from Melissa, since I think it could be answered quickly?
Mhm.
If you forget to number your choices, will you get an error message?
That's a very good question. You will not get an error message, and a lot of time REDCap will automatically number it for you. Yeah. So if you have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will automatically do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But let's say if you have one prefer not to answer or I forget. So usually those are usually valued like 99 or 98. You just need to hand change it. Or like a no is a 0, you just need to hand change it. Usually it just starting from a 1 to like the number, the max number. Yeah, good question.
Thanks, Sharon. Jason, it's all yours.
Sure, thanks. Sharon, if you want to click on that link, since that's the first kind of bullet point I'm talking about.
This one?
Yes,
okay.
Just so everyone can kind of see that. So good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Jason Coles. I serve as the IT support manager in the Division of Information Technology, as well as the REDCap administrator. And so today I'm going to be talking to you briefly about how to access REDCap and also how to get support if you were to ever run into any issues while using the application. And so to request access to REDCap, as Sharon mentioned earlier, it's while the link to access it is public, and you'll be using your regular Windows credentials that you use for your email login or your Blackboard. You do need to request access through this form that we put together. So it's a very simple form. We ask your first, last name, email address, briefly describe what your kind of like your project, what you'd be using REDCap for, and then just verify with the signature. And once you submit that, I'll go over that with the team, and your credentials will be created within 24 hours, and you'll be sent an approval to your email address that you've provided us below in the form. So very simple process to get access to it. You know, it can happen same day or with at least within 24 hours, depending on kind of the workload queue. So with that said, one of the Sharon, if you want to go back to the slides real quick. Yep. Previous slide. Okay. So because REDCap is such a powerful web application, there are many modules or tools that you can use within it. I know some of the early on requests that may come about are requesting different languages to be added for surveys. So preemptively, we've already added the Spanish language. So if you're doing a survey for a particular demographic and the default language isn't on there, you can submit a request for that language to be on there. I will say some languages are harder to find than others. We're having a little trouble finding Arabic because that's a very complex and rich language, but REDCap does have a library of languages that they kind of have filtered through and approved that make it very seamless to add to our current environment. So if you have that request, feel free to send it in. And then the last thing are any application errors. So if you were to ever go to the website redcap.desu.edu and it doesn't come up for whatever reason, whether you're working on campus, or from home, we want to make sure that you can access it, right? And so outside of the university doing their kind of scheduled maintenance, REDCap should always be up. So if you did get an error, you can email us directly, and I'll provide the REDCap email, and we'll make sure that that gets our highest priority and attention to that. So with that said, requesting support. So there's an area, and now I'm looking at this, it probably might be better to do a share screen, Sharon, so I can actually show them how they get to this area that's on the screenshot. So if you could maybe, Kyle, approve me as a co-host so I can share my screen. Okay, thank you. All right. Oh, let's play tracker. Okay. So if you are having any issues within REDCap, there's a way to message either Sharon or John to be able to ask them specifically questions about your project. So by clicking on this REDCap Messenger at the very top, this window pane on the left opens up. You can create a new conversation. And from here, you can actually, at the bottom left, search for different users that you may want to contact or bring a part of this conversation for your project. And those users will show up once selected at the top here. So I'm logged in as the RCAP user, so that's why you see selected users there. If I were to click on Sharon's name, now she's going to be a part of this conversation. And so I can give this conversation the title. I could say, having issue with instrument, and then provide the detailed message. And then lastly, associate the project that we're having the issue with. And so this kind of keeps everything very organized and uniform and provides that kind of seamless communication with kind of getting support for that specific project. Now, outside of that, if we were to get a error, like I said, REDCap doesn't come up, or you need a technical support, you can select where it says contact REDCap administrator up in the upper left hand side here. So when you select this, it creates a pre-populated email that has kind of your username, the project title, a link for me to actually get to it to see what the error is. And so you can just provide just a description of what your issue is up right above that, send that off. It's actually already, again, pre-populated with who it's going to go to. So that email address is actually a distribution group, so multiple people will get it. So we're trying to make sure that your needs are being fulfilled, right? So if you're having an issue, that we're doing it in a very timely manner, addressing whatever that issue is. And so that is how you will contact the REDCap administrator from there. Outside of that, again, I'll provide the email. It is researchit@desu.edu. And that email, again, goes to myself, Sharon, and John, as well as Dr. Weinstein. With that said, I'm now open for, or I guess we're both open for any questions. That was all I had to present today.
So if there are any questions or comments, feel free to type in the chat or unmute and ask. But Sharon or Jason, could you please put the link for requesting REDCap into the chat, please? Melissa, there it is. Thank you.
So the link will also be on our website very soon, because the webmaster is out of the office. So we're waiting for him, but it will be kind of on our website. And since we have some time here while waiting for more questions, I can kind of show this website here to you, and then where you can find the links. So it's here. So this is our website. And the REDCap request form will be around here. So we already have a consultation request form for your study that at the beginning, John mentioned if you have any request for consultation, you can request from here. And we have the microscopy and the cell electrophysiology kind of consultation request form here. And we'll also add the REDCap account request here. So this is our website. And if you want to learn more about REDCap, so there's additional resources. If you click on this, and you will see like the training videos, like more resources from Excel, from NIH. Yeah.
So
And
how did
we're
you
also going to put the link to this workshop up on our website too. So if you ever want to review it and look at it again, grab the links. That will be up very shortly. And we of course appreciate you mentioning this to your colleagues in your departments and throughout campus, so they can watch this workshop and they can start to use these resources as well.
Yeah. Yes, Mo.
Sharon, can you show how you got to this website from the main DESU page?
Let's see, the DSU. So we go to academic affairs, So this is the main DSU page, and then academic affairs. And then you go to research here on the bottom here, research. And this is not.
Actually, no, I think it's from research. If you go to the top and pull down research, I don't think you have to go through academic affairs.
I see.
So the top, that's right, interdisciplinary health equity.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. So I usually just kind of Google like DSU Research Capacity Core. So this is for different cores, and we have our research capacity core here. And then you click on this. Yeah, thank you, Melissa.
I think.
Yeah, this is our core, and then you can see like other cores here too, if you need any assistance from them. And I will go back sharing my slides because there's different email address there. People want to make sure. Yeah. This is the research IT at dsu.edu. So if you need any assistance, any questions regarding REDCap, regarding IT services, you can email us there. And then this is my email address, Jason's email address. We also like to thank our director, Dr. Daryl Wenzen, because he's monitoring like a final, so he can be here. This is his email address, and my colleague John Balzerini is here. So thank you, John. And this is our website. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Any questions? Anything you're curious about with REDCap or the core services, or even just some thoughts? Feel free.
And I recommend everyone, after this workshop, just take 1-2 minutes to request your account. Don't wait till last minute, because you might want to be familiar with how REDCap works to create some like a practice kind of projects to play with. And don't wait to kind of the last minute when you need it and then you start it, because this is such a great kind of platform for us to conduct our research.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the sooner you request your account, you can actually access the training videos once you're logged in. And I will tell you, as someone who's never, used REDCap before, having gone through the training videos, I was able to basically do what Sharon did, make a, example survey. And, the more you use something, the more you become familiar with it. So I just recommend those training videos to everyone.
Yeah. And I saw Suzanne from Nemours is here, so we just like to especially thank her because we have a lot of questions when set up REDCap, when we use REDCap. So she has a lot of experience using REDCap. So she is the admin for a Nemours REDCap account. So I see she's here. So we just want to deliver our kind of appreciation to her.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. And you did a great job here today.
Thank you. Okay. If we don't have any other questions, John, is there anything you would like to close?
No, I think that's it. I just want to remind everybody to please check out the iHer website, and of course, check out the Research Capacity Core. There's lots of services that we provide as consults. We can talk through every step of the research process, including writing up for grant acquisition and things of that nature. There's literal resources we can provide to help you along the steps of the way. And, access to important and powerful tools like this and data sets. So this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the Research Capacity Core can provide. It's unlike anything that's ever existed at Delaware State University in my time here. And it's something that I'm hoping people will be excited to take advantage of. So thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
And happy holidays. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.